Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Haven Cottage Investments. Alright, stick around to the end of the episode if you want to hear more about how awesome they are and what they can do for you. And without further ado, here's the episode.
One more podcast.
My respect.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the One More podcast movie review. I am with a man. His name is Blake, and we watched a movie. I don't know if you guys have heard of it at all. It's kind of a under the radar, low key movie. Not very popular. Not a lot of people know about it. It's called Star Wars. There have been a few movies before it. You know, just a handful of movies, and this new one that came out. We watched it, and this is your second time watching it?
Mm-hmm.
Second time, okay. So both of our second times. And the first time, I think, was good to just kind of watch the movie and soak it all in and enjoy it and get a feel for it. And then the second time, I and Blake took notes. I don't know if anyone else in the audience was taking notes.
They could have been.
Maybe, who knows? I was actually, for the second time in not opening weekend, kind of, almost halfway through the week of the movie, there was a lot of crowd reactions.
Yeah. Even when I went opening night, because that's what I do. I take my little, that. Even when I went opening night, there were not, I was expecting to clap and, cheer and do all that. Nothing.
Really?
For real, nothing.
Wow. Okay.
It was weird.
What theater did you go to?
Cinemark in West Plano.
Huh.
Yeah, the first time when Trent and I went and saw Force Awakens 2 years ago, I mean, we were cheering, we were, clapping, all that stuff. But in this one, I think there were only a scattering of claps at the end when they showed in remembrance of our princess, Carrie Fisher or whatever. Other than that, no, there wasn't a lot of crowd reactions except for the two nerdy girls sitting next to me.
Oh wow,
that was it.
Well, that was the opposite. There's okay. Definitely was not as big as a reaction as I've seen in the past before. Force Awakens. I remember
Dark Knight Rises when I went to it had a big reaction.
I think I remember watching Lord of the Rings in the theaters.
I remember watching that too.
That was good. But yeah, so it was kind of I guess a good thing that there was crowd reactions. Not opening weekend, so who knows.
Well, the thing is, didn't this already hit the 500 million mark? It's already hit that?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Not at all. So, anyways, we are here to talk about it and give our opinions and speculate and kind of come to some conclusions and vent about what we didn't like about it and what we did like about it.
Sure.
So, going in before, what would you... First impressions, and then watching it a second time. How'd you feel?
So, before my first viewing,
on a scale of 1 to 20, how were you the first time seeing it?
You want to do just Star Wars movies ranked? Before my second time watching it, I had it number 3.
Okay.
So it went Empire, New Hope, and then Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm putting it number 5.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Putting it number 5.
I think it's the opposite for me. It bumped up a little bit. I don't have an official ranking, unfortunately.
Then you do yours out of 20.
I would say probably the first time I saw it, it was riding a 14, probably 13, 14, and then has bumped up to 15, 16. Just after rewatching it and kind of getting a different stance. Because I will say, and I didn't necessarily expect this of a Star Wars movie, was, I feel for the most part, the first time you watch the movie, you can pick up pretty much everything. It's very, and not to discredit the movie, it was very shallow in terms of overarching themes.
Yeah, it was all there for you.
Yeah, and so, but the second time going through, there was some stuff that I didn't pick up the first time. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I was just, because I was trying to,
be in the moment of Star Wars.
Yeah, and now that, I'm taking notes and trying to pick up for everything, maybe that's why, but either way. So, brief synopsis. Spoilers ahead. We're gonna spoil the movie. Well, and even then, I don't think there are that many spoilers. Just maybe one or two here and there.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, okay. But so, you starts off in space, and the rebellion is fleeing their planet to fly away and find a different home base because the what is it? The New Republic, One Republic. New Empire?
The First Order.
First Order, thank you. Sorry. So the First Order finds them, and then they're like, oh, we're rebel scum. They said that like 50 million times during
God.
Rebel scum, rebel scum, rebel scum. Anyways, they're destroying the base, trying to kill everyone, and they're fleeing. Poe is like this head-hardy, strong guy, which honestly I thought he would like change, like be, or like not change, but from the first one, because you think, oh, you know, the first one you have this two-dimensional character, and then he becomes this three-dimensional character. But then now in this second movie, he kind of is back to that two-dimensional character.
When did he become a three-dimensional character in The Force Awakens?
You know, honestly, I can't remember. I just
he was just a pilot. Like, and I'm glad Poe got a lot of screen time in this movie because I thought Oscar Isaac is an awesome actor and he plays Poe great. You know,
all right, well then that's just my.
But he definitely turned into a three-dimensional character in this movie.
For sure.
The stakes are raised. So. Yeah,
I don't know. I guess, and it's just I would have to rewatch The Force Awakens, but I felt like everyone at the end of the movie, everyone was at least a little bit deeper.
Maybe
yeah, that's just
Finn and Rey, but Poe was just the pilot that was going to blow up the new Death Star. Like that was his job.
All right, I'll give you that. So they're fleeing away, and then Poe decides to do a bombing run on what was the Dreadnought. Thank you. So giant Dreadnought, essentially a miniaturized base destroyer, not a planet destroyer, but a base destroyer. It's just
like 5 times bigger than an Imperial starship with a lot of with 2 big ass cannons.
Yep. So they successfully destroy it. They flee, and then they can. Are you just doing a synopsis of the movie, or do you want me to just? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, just real quick. So they flee. At this time, Rey is like talking with Luke, and then there's this whole I don't want to, but I do, but I don't, but I do thing, and we can get into that later. And then they're fleeing. Oh no, the New Order can, the First Order can track them in light speed, which I thought was kind of I never even really considered about you can't track people who go into light speed.
I thought that was cool. I thought that was a good little thing to throw in. Like now you can't rely on light speed.
Right.
What else do you got?
Exactly. So and so it then becomes this cat and mouse with the rebellion and the First Order, and they're running out of fuel, and the movie I felt, at least for me, a movie was definitely a lot in space a lot. It was
it was like The Empire Strikes Back. So was that one. That was in space for 90% or for a big chunk of the movie. Han and Leia and C-3PO, Chewbacca, and all of them were running from the Death Star for like 70% of the movie until they went to Bespin.
Right. So they're running, and then a lot of people get killed, and then the rebellion shrinks down in size. And then they find a new rebel planet, but the plan was that since the First Order was so focused on the actual giant spacecraft, everyone was going to escape in shuttles and flee to this planet. Oh no, because now that Rey is back, I guess Finn and
Rose
go find Rey, and they have this plan, and they have this plan to get this master hacker to disable the tracking system, whatever. So, but of course, shit goes awry, or rise, is whatever the phrase is. So, shit hits the ceiling, and they fail, and then shit happens, and then they end up still in the escape pods. A lot of them die because the First Order is able to track them, and they still end up getting to the planet. At this point, Rey is back, and they're trying to figure out, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Blah 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 blah. And then Rey gets taken because she has this link. Sorry, forgot this is probably key, which we'll talk about. Rey has a link with Kylo Ren, and it's this weird, they're talking to each other, but they can't.
It's a new Force ability.
Yeah. And then Rey goes to Kylo Ren because she like, oh, I sense the good in him. Whatever, he's gonna turn. He's gonna
conflicted.
Turn. Right. And so she goes to find him, and then nope, she gets captured, and then Mr. Lord Palpatine Part 2 guy, Snoke, thank you. Snoke, he's like, ha ha ha, I tricked you, blah 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 blah, and then she's like, oh no, and then Kylo Ren is like, oh, I'm gonna kill her, psych, and then he like does this force ability thingy, stabby lightsaber thingy to kill Snoke, which I'll talk about how I think that was the fucking stupidest thing in the entire world.
Yikes! All right.
So that's dead, and then Rey escapes because her and Kylo Ren get into this like weird, like almost like a Harry Potter moment where they're like, my force is more stronger than your force, and then
Harry and Voldemort.
Yeah, exactly that like one thing, and then they're vying for the lightsaber, and it's like they get pushed away, and then they whatever. Explode.
No, their force powers
blows up the lightsaber,
like
right.
Cuts the lightsaber in half.
Yeah. So and then oh no, and so then Kylo Ren gets knocked out, but she escapes. So now all the rebels are together, and then real quick. I really like Lord Huxtable or whatever his name. What is Huxtable?
General Hux.
General Hux. I don't know who Lord Huxtable is. I think that's from something else. But anyways, General Hux. I really liked him as a character. Yeah. Anyways, so they're at the base now, and they're like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" Or hopefully, it was kind of like this Helm's Deep-y kind of Lord of the Rings vibe. It's like, "Oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And then, oh, look, Luke shows up, and then Luke does this thing, and then he is able to stop the fleet so that they can, or at least distract the fleet or
distract the First Order and let the remaining rebel forces escape.
Thank you for
on the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, and so then they escape, and then that's pretty much it. So did I miss anything?
No, because we're gonna dive into details about all of it. So
I just overall,
synopsis. Yeah, you got it.
It was pretty much rebels were escaping the entire time. That was the movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm just gonna kind of go through my notes because I guess this goes through
same here.
Each highlight of the movie, so you can chime in whenever you want to do that. But I don't know. What was having it do initially be in space? Because I can't tell you how many movies start out with the space conflict versus being on a planet. So I mean, it was and even before then are you okay with the fact that Star Wars, every time Star Wars is Star Wars, the title sequence comes up, blah blah blah, everything that's just Star Wars? That's plain and simple.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, the
only Star Wars film to not do that yet is Rogue One.
But I thought they did.
Rogue One didn't have a title sequence.
Okay.
Because it's not.
Throw you for a loop though?
And like originally, it wasn't I like that fact that Rogue One separated itself from the others, because it wasn't a Star Wars-esque movie. It was an espionage, war thriller with Star Wars in it.
Right.
So I didn't mind, and I don't know if even the new Han Solo movie is going to have a space scroll. I don't think it should. Mm-hmm. I think only things that are in the trilogies designated to Star Wars should have the space.
True.
The space, scroll.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So immediately from the get-go. And this is where I'm kind of I'm torn with how they do it, but you immediately get like this flush of comedy and just this from the get go. And I think at first the at least the first bits of comedy that they try and sneak in there, it works because Poe's trying to distract the First Order and stuff like that, and he's it's a communication thing, whatever, and it's kind of funny. But just we can kind of kill it right now. I mean, did you enjoy the comedy? Did you enjoy it? It
was all? I would say 75% I liked, and there were 25% where like I just kind of looked at the screen, tilted my head, and okay, Disney and Star Wars, I get it.
Okay, well, so and I mentioned while we were walking from the theater is that they kind of Avenger fight it. The event, it's like the Avengers, and the only reason why I say that is because, and again, I might just have a hazy memory, but the Avengers is very much a serious action movie where it's like bad stuff is happening, and we have to band together, and it's this very serious plot, and it takes itself seriously. But then randomly they're going to insert a one-line joke to kind of break the tension, or even specifically in the movie, for Star Wars I'm talking about, when they enter those one-liners, it kind of breaks the suspends reality for a second, because for me, Star Wars is very much if this was a serious movie, the entire from start to finish, and it was the dialogue was there, and whenever Snoke was talking, if no one said anything stupid or whatever, blah blah blah, I'd be okay with that. I don't think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think I needed I enjoyed it and I think it was probably 50-50 for me with the jokes and stuff like that. But if they did start to finish of just serious dialogue the entire time.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm completely for a dark Star Wars movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm ready for this to go dark. Mm-hmm. Like the stakes are freaking raised, kind of dark. You know. Instead, but they're not going to do that because this is a movie for kids, and it always has been. Star Wars was never for the adult audience that wants something grittier and dirty. It's for kids. That's what it is.
But you see, and I hate. Well, I don't hate it, but to just use the example with the original, trilogy, or not the original trilogy, but the new trilogy, not the new trilogy,
the prequels.
Thank you, prequels is the word that I'm looking for. I don't really remember a lot of comedy and stuff like that in the movies. I mean, maybe there was situational humor, but
no, George Lucas added a character in Phantom Menace specifically for that, and it was Jar Jar, and it failed miserably.
Sure,
and then Attack of the Clones did have a lot of jokes. Obi-Wan was making jokes while he was going after Jango or whatever. When they were on Geonosis, and Anakin, Padme, and Obi-Wan were getting raised up, and Obi-Wan was saying how or Anakin said, "We're here to rescue you," and Obi-Wan goes, "Good job." Those are little things thrown in there.
It's funny or sarcasm, because I think there's a fine line between being like Obi-Wan is that sarcastic kind of old man who's kind of been through it all. He's gonna have those sarcastic one-liners, which I guess is okay. But when half the cast of the Star Wars now are just making jokes, or
well, didn't Rose and Finn, half of their humor was sarcasm? Like when they were talking to Benicio del Toro's the hacker character, and he was like, "I can be your actor or whatever," and they're like,
and that's
we're good.
And I think that was, and I like that. But when it was purposefully, here's the baseline of the dialogue, and then someone comes out of the blue and just inserts something that kind of breaks that dialogue with specifically a joke, I just kind of threw me off. I mean,
sometimes. And it either works or it doesn't for some people. Like and to bring up your Avengers point, there are jokes in the Avengers that I thought were really funny, and they were in the middle of serious dialogue, like when Thor is talking to the rest of the Avengers, and they're like, he says, "I care how you speak, Loki is of Asgard, and he's unruly, but he's my brother." Mm-hmm. And then Black Widow's like, "He killed 47 people in 2 days," and Thor goes, "He's adopted." Like that cracks me up. That's really funny.
Right.
But there are jokes in this movie that you're right, it separated the stakes. Like it wasn't serious anymore. It was, we know our heroes are going to be okay. And there were a lot of cheesy one-liners that was just, it is cheesy. Like that, it just was so hammy and predictable, and it just didn't work.
Okay. Well, and I mean, even then, just one last comment about it is, I feel like movies nowadays, they try and add the series, because I feel like back in the day, and again, I might just be skewed or whatever, but back in the day, there wasn't really like a huge emphasis on comedy. Like a serious movie could be a serious movie, and that's it. And I feel like now, within like 2010 and up, you have a lot of these serious movies, but they're gonna have comedy in it, and so I don't know, that just kind of throws me for a loop sometimes. Why is it that the First Order always has like ginormous weapons to kill people?
Because yes,
that's it.
Why did the Empire have all of? Well, that's explained in the prequels why the Empire has all of this big stuff, because the clones were created on Kamino, and all of their stuff was paid for by the Old Republic. Like that's explained. But this one, I mean, it kind of was explained in the casino scene where He's like, oh, people are arms dealing with the First Order.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know. I feel like they haven't really established like the First Order is really like, oh no, the First Order is going to take in a couple of weeks. They're going to take over the entire system. Well, but like,
who's like, where is this? Where are the other galaxies? Where are the other planets? There,
yeah, like
there's no order in the galaxy at all.
Yeah,
like
you don't
at least
see the influence of the First Order.
No, it's just kind of this namely force that's just roaming the galaxy, trying to regain control of it. Mm-hmm. And I guess because the scope is kind of limited, like in terms of, like in The Force Awakens, we had Jakku where people were trading, and then like they show the big new Death Star blowing up these senatorial planets or whatever, but that's it. Like we don't have any insight into how the First Order, why the First Order, what for. Like it, I don't know. The First Order just seems like bad guys to be bad guys.
Yeah, I don't know, because even then, I'll just reference The New Hope just because that's on the top of my mind. At least with the Empire, you kind of got that when Luke and Obi-Wan, they were, trying to what was it, Tatooine? They're on Tatooine. So they're on Tatooine, and you saw all the stormtroopers, and you saw all these people.
They had a presence around the galaxy.
Yeah, and it's the small things that I feel like that they could have added, but I guess the story that they're trying to tell,
like if the First Order was on that casino planet,
yeah, exactly,
that would have worked.
Yeah,
like now they have to go in and find a hacker with the First Order still right around them.
Exactly, and or in I guess The New Hope, whenever they go, what's the big eyes? I forget her name. Who initially said you can be Force sensitive.
In The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, her. But so when they go to that
Atana
planet,
or whatever,
right?
Yeah.
If they go to that planet, if they had like people of the First Order posted up, just like even just a few soldiers here and there, I feel like there's elements where they could have had that influence, which. I mean, that's fine. I can suspend reality and just say, okay, the First Order has $1 billion and they can just buy whatever, because apparently they get all the toys. Yeah. Okay, so one other thing that I caught, and I mean, I don't know what it was specifically, but it was like at the whenever Poe
Maz Kanata
was that
the girl, the orange girl with the big eyes.
Oh, okay. One thing that kind of I turned my head for a second, I was like, wait, what? Is after, and this is still at the beginning of the movie, after Poe destroys the surface defense towers or whatever, immediately Leia's like, okay, you're good, let's go back. Let's retreat, let's go. And he said no, and then, but she's made a direct order for him to retreat, but then all of a sudden now you have
all these bombers are ready to go.
Exactly, even though Leia said no, which I thought that was kind of a little strange. Again, part of this was a good movie, but here's a few things that I didn't necessarily get. So, I don't know, I guess Poe just has more pull, because I know later in the movie...
Well, he's the leader of the fighter pilots. He's the face of the,
yeah, I guess.
Which, again, I'm with you. Like, that part, yeah, it was necessary for Poe's character to have those bombers ready. And maybe the bombers were ready, and he just had comms with Princess Leia, and that was it. But again, Princess Leia could have said, no, bombers, turn the hell around, we're leaving.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, no. I guess you have to have a story and do it somehow.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing... Like, okay, one last time I'm going to touch on the comedy. Just one last time. I feel like they, for me, kind of, and this was just one example that I wrote down, they waste really these intense moments that they could have, like, had some kind of resolution for just a cheap laugh. Like, when Rey is handing Luke the lightsaber,
and
it was really intense. He just throws it away, and then it's like, ha!
I think that was a metaphor. Like, I get... Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no. Yes, I understand, because now we're seeing him for the first time, and we learn that he doesn't want to be part of this anymore. But I don't think they needed that cheap laugh. I mean, I guess if
again, no, I'm with you. I think they should have, like, Luke should have been there right now, and should have been right there in front of Rey and said, "No, I can't do this," and then throw the lightsaber.
Yeah, that's
like
fine.
At least say something. Don't like that. That wouldn't have been funny. That would have been serious. Like, okay, Luke is not messing around. We now like this is serious.
Exactly. All right, so let's dive in real quick about why Skywalker doesn't want to join the Resistance. So, there's a few lines that I wrote, and Blake, whenever you have your notes or whatever, definitely chime in. Are we not there yet? Or
my notes are so scattered.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
You know.
So one line, and this is a little further into the movie, but still, I think kind of totally encapsulates why Luke doesn't want to join the Resistance. And let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Okay. It was, he said, and I'm just paraphrasing, he said, just because the Jedi die...
doesn't mean the Force dies with it.
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't, and I didn't catch that the first time just because
the Force without the Jedi is vanity. Or the Jedi without the Force needing the Jedi is vanity.
Right. Exactly. And I get that was the kind of overarching theme where Luke and Kylo Ren, they wanted to just start over. They wanted to let's kill everything off. Let's reboot, reset. You know, we don't need the Jedi. The Force needs
to be balanced.
Exactly.
And I thought and I kind of wondered that after just speculating after The Force Awakens. There was a guy that I worked with, and his theory was going into The Last Jedi. His theory was Luke is going to say that the Jedi need to end because the Force is unbalanced. Mm-hmm. Like, the Force needs to be balanced. The Jedi are not the things that balance the Force. The Force is a water, is like the first layer of water. And underneath it, you have the dark side, creating bubbles, and that causes ripples in the Force. And then you have the light side throwing pebbles into the water, and that causes more ripples of Force. Everyone just needs to let the Force be.
Yeah.
And that was his theory. And that kind of sums up what Luke is saying.
Yeah.
Like, to an extent. Like, the Force doesn't need the Jedi. The Force doesn't need the dark side. The Sith and the Jedi need the Force.
Right. Exactly. So, and I don't know if they were trying to go for like the Obi-Wan Kenobi in The New Hope. He's just an old grumpy man, not wanting to do a lot. I kind of liked old grumpy man.
Well, Obi-Wan wasn't an old grumpy dude.
Oh well, no,
he was trying to do stuff.
I'm saying Luke.
I
like
Luke.
The old grumpy man Luke.
I like Luke's character development in this movie. Like, I like the fact that Luke is stepping outside of what is going on and says, no, it's time for, like, stepping outside of his Jedi ways and going, this needs to end. Mm-hmm. The Force is not something that can be bended and shaped to your will. The Force is.
Exactly. Okay. I didn't like the new Ewoks or whatever. The birds.
Porgs. I didn't mind them. Again, they were cheesy.
I thought that was part of the cutesy footsy that I was just like, man, I could have done without it.
I didn't mind them. I like when Chewie was eating two of them, like, and he had grilled and barbecued them up.
Yeah,
I thought that scene was kind of funny. It was cutesy and whatnot, but whatever. It's different because the Ewoks were a central part of the movie.
True.
In Return of the Jedi.
True.
And it was overbearing to the point where, like, okay, we get it. We get it, George. Nature versus man, nature will win kind of thing.
Right.
But for this one, Again, half of the pork stuff made me laugh. Half of the pork stuff just made me go, fucking Disney.
Yeah. So, one of my friends made the comment of, part of the reason why, or not part, but like a large reason why they put them back, they put them in the movie, is for toys.
Sell toys, yeah.
So they're definitely a merchandising device. Yeah. And it kind of makes me sad that that's just a thing.
Yeah, it's tainted. It taints Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to sound like one of those, original trilogy nuts that thinks those are the only 3 good movies and that's it. Like, right. I like this movie. Like, I like this movie, but there are elements of it, like the Porgs. I take it back to Batman and Robin, directed by Joel Schumacher in the 90s with George Clooney, and like like there are lines in that movie about selling action figures. Like that was a huge part of why they made that movie. And it ruined Batman for a while, you know? And this one didn't ruin Star Wars for me, but it does taint my view on how much a production company has on Star Wars. It ruins the innocence that the original trilogy had, where George Lucas he was free to do whatever he wanted.
I'm curious. I don't know. Whenever the prequels came out, was there as heavily? Because I feel like at least with the Force Awakens when that came out, it was heavily
marketed,
merchandised. Like BB-8 toys, lightsabers, Kylo Ren stuff, whatever Rey stuff, Finn stuff. So
the prequels were. I mean, I had a Darth Maul double-bladed lightsaber. All of my friends had Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsabers and Anakin lightsabers. There was a pod racing video game. I had Lego pod racers all over my room.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of Star Wars. You market it to kids, and kids will make their parents go see it, and the cycle continues.
That's true. Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I could have done without the short and sweet. I could have done without the annoying birds.
I could have done without the porks too.
Okay. So moving forward a little bit, Snoke is I feel and I don't know the lore because apparently they said that only the trilogy and the prequels are canon. Is that what they said?
Trilogy, prequels, and Clone Wars.
Clone Wars are canon. Okay. So yeah, so Snoke, to my interpretation,
no idea where Snoke comes from. Never been seen before in a Star Wars
film. Super badass guy though, right?
Yep.
Like
and this is my biggest, probably my second biggest complaint with this movie was there are so many questions that The Force Awakens brought up that are not answered at all in The Last Jedi.
True.
At all. True. Like, if anything, they're killed, no pun intended. Like, the questions are killed and thrown in the garbage. Like, it's its own film.
Yeah. Do you think that could have been because a different director? Or is it
I don't know. Like, for one, we know...
Because J.J. Abrams was very...
he was trying to set up a world that, had a lot of questions, had a lot of mysteries. Like, the biggest mystery after The Force Awakens was who were Rey's parents.
Right.
And if this is the answer to that, that brings up a whole slew of... If the answer is... Cause, spoiler, in the movie, Kylo says, you know who your parents are. They were ditch diggers. They were dumpster divers that sold you for whiskey or whatever.
Yeah.
If that's the answer... That brings up 4 or 5 more questions that these movies will not answer. And it's frustrating. Like, if the Force in the prequels was passed down by Jedi to generation after generation, and now this movie is saying that the Force is not passed down from familial ties, it's the Force, anybody can conquer the Force. Well, that ruins the value of the Force for me. Like,
really?
So if anybody can use the Force and harness the Force to their abilities and become Jedi if they wanted to, then what's the point? What is the point of having Jedi and Sith, that conflict in a movie?
Well, I think it's just the Jedi is the pinnacle of controlling and being able to manipulate the Force.
Right. So, but Yoda said in this movie, the books don't...
by the way, Yoda shows up.
Oh, yeah, Yoda's in this movie. Puppet Yoda, not CGI Yoda, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
But Yoda says the Jedi script, the Jedi texts don't matter. The tree of the Jedi don't matter. Anybody can use the Force. That completely slanders everything that we've learned from the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and now. The Force is now available to anybody. I look at it because it reminded me of The Incredibles. Remember The Incredibles? Did you ever see that?
Yes, I've seen
when Syndrome, the arch nemesis, says, I'm going to market all of these fake superpowers to the whole world, and when everyone's super, no one will be.
True, yeah.
And that frustrates me. You're supposed to have characters that are above and beyond what we can do. That's the whole point. Now, if everybody has Force abilities or has the like the little broom sweeping boy at the end of the movie can use the Force, what? Okay. Well, now everybody has the Force.
Do you think the reason why they brought that element up was to bring up the question of the conflict of do we need the Jedi, do we need the Sith, do we need this?
No,
yeah, I don't. Well, I think that very much is because the idea in the first one, again, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't have any question of we need to disband the Jedi.
In The Force Awakens?
Yeah, in The Force Awakens.
No, because the Jedi were no more. Well, it says it in the opening crawl of The Force Awakens. The Jedi are no more. Luke Skywalker has vanished and gone into hiding.
But no one said that. I think the idea was that was a bad thing. They need to bring the Jedi back. They need that back. So moving into the second movie, when they say, "Oh well, now we don't need the Jedi. We need to balance the Force." Shouldn't then we need to open that up to everybody? Because if there's no Jedi, then there's no people who can do the Star Warsy Force chokes and moving and stuff like that. So
we know that now to not be true. Anybody can.
Right, but that's what. So that's the point. They're disbanding the Jedi, the exclusive, and I'm just bouncing off what you said. They're disbanding this exclusive club where only the cool people, because they've just dug. I feel like they've just dug themselves into a hole where it's like, okay, we're gonna kill everyone off. The Resistance is at the Force Awakens. The Resistance was this big. I'm holding up my hands far apart, and now half of this big. And then the second movie is now they're down to 400 people or whatever, 200 people.
Enough people to fit on the Millennium Falcon.
Right, exactly. That, or at the end of the movie, that's how many people were left. So, and so now they're so it's such a minute force, no pun intended. But there's no Jedi, there's no that, so they have to open that up. So, because what's Star Wars without Jedi?
But Luke said, I am not the last Jedi. Luke doesn't even want the Jedi to end now. Because Rey is out there picking up rocks and getting everybody out of there. Luke doesn't want the Jedi to end anymore because he said, I'm not the last Jedi. And then they cut to Rey. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't want the Jedi to end. He said, I'm not the last Jedi.
Well, he can say he's
See you around, kid.
I don't like his flippy floppy. I don't like everyone's flip flopping in this movie, and I didn't like it. It was the Snoke, or not Snoke. Kylo Ren's flip flopping. Luke is flip flopping. Leia's flip flopping. So I don't know. I get what you're saying, and I agree to it to a certain extent. I think they're trying to set it up where Rey. I'm sure what they're going to do is Rey is going to be now the leader and to train these people to be more the force sensitive people. They're going to train it to harness this force power. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. We can talk about the kind of speculations in a little bit, but man, that was just all over the place. Okay, so I kind of liked that. Real quick, one last thing to touch on Luke about the place that he was living at. Mm-hmm. Whenever he was doing all his like simple chores to get food and stuff, get by and stuff like that. It was kind of reminiscent, I guess, of his lifestyle on Tatooine. Mm-hmm. It was kind of nice that he was just a simple man.
Go get some blue milk.
Yeah, exactly. Like that just was a thing that he did, and he was okay with it, and it totally grossed out Rey. But then he's just like, "Well, what do you want? I
got a drink."
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was kind of nice.
No, I loved Mark. I think this is the best Mark Hamill Luke performance.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I think as an actor, mm-hmm. I think he did the best job with Luke in this. The emotion and that just may be with age, because when he was cast as Luke, he was a young kid that had never acted before or whatever.
Yeah.
But now he's got some acting chops, and the emotion in his eyes, his face, it was cool to watch.
All right, so real quick, let's talk about that Mary Poppins scene.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, give us a little. What is the Mary Poppins scenes, Blake?
Okay, so Kylo and 2 TIE fighters are trying to. Okay, so the ships, the cruisers that the rebellion was on, is fleeing the First Order's big ships, and Kylo, after getting his ass slapped by Snoke, gets in his ship, followed by 2 TIE fighters, and they blow up the hangar that houses the rebel starfighters. And he's about to destroy the bridge with Princess Leia and all the captains and all the higher ups in the Rebel Alliance are on. Admiral Akbar. Yep. And he's about to press the button, and he doesn't, because it's his mom. And so the TIE fighter next to him presses the button, and the whole bridge explodes. And Kylo goes back to his main ship. Yeah. Well, Princess Leia is now floating in space after this big explosion. And she's got her hand out, and you see the hand twitch a little bit in space. You see her eyes open up, and you see her moving in a Mary Poppins stance all she needed was an umbrella, and moving towards the ship that was just the bridge that was just destroyed, using the Force to get back into the ship, which was so campy and forced, no pun intended. I would have loved it if that's how Leia died. If that's
I thought that's how she was gonna die.
I thought that would have been great.
Yeah.
If Leia was killed off and Kylo, and this would have been great if Kylo didn't pull the trigger, but he goes back and they show all the 2 TIE fighters going into the base, and Kylo kills the person that pulled the trigger. That would have been great for his character. That would have showed his true conflict. That would have, that would have set the bar high.
For sure.
Now both of his parents are gone, and he didn't even kill his mom.
Right.
And I thought that would have been a great touch. But no, Princess Leia uses the Force, and Mary Poppins her way back to the ship, and she's in a coma.
Yeah.
For half of the movie.
True. I don't know. So what were you saying about how they could have done that scene if moving forward, if Leia stayed alive, like they would have,
all they should have done was just close up on the hand, and then you just see the hand move staying in frame, and you just follow the hand.
Okay.
Instead of the whole body, you just follow the hand. I thought that would have been a great touch. Like, she's obviously using the Force. We don't get the campy Mary Poppins pose. You just follow the hand that makes it, and then right when she touches the glass door, it opens, and Poe and Finn are there to get her into the medical bay or whatever. Okay. I thought that would have been cool.
That does sound cool. Let's see. I miss the robots. I think, and I mean, I get it. You're trying to tell a story, and you have only a certain amount of time for each robot to make a beep boop sound, but I miss that. And like, R2 was in it for 30 seconds,
give or take. Yeah.
And even then, I think BB-8, I think he had a few highlight scenes.
BB-8 is the new R2, so
no, I know, but I feel like he was in it a lot more in the first movie, or whatever, The Force Awakens.
Yeah, because we had a 30-minute tangent in this movie where BB-8, was just a side character getting filled up with casino coins.
Yeah, that's true. I think he was just used as kind of a transitional device.
Or humor. Like, I thought when in the first battle scene, when he was, trying to put all of his little claws into the X-Wing, I thought that was funny. I thought that was a nice touch.
I feel like that's the Star Wars humor. The robots are put into this, in
ungodly situation.
Yeah, where, a normal human would freak out. Well, the robot can't necessarily have the extensive emotions as a human can. How are they going to handle it? Well,
right.
A robot's just going to stick his head to fix it and connect the circuits and stuff like that. So that I like. That's the Star Wars humor that I think that would be cool. It's interesting. Obviously don't overuse it, but still. But yeah, no, C-3PO had a few lines.
Was minute.
I don't know. I've always liked C-3PO. Just in the trilogy, all trilogies, C-3PO and R2, because even then, in my head, R2 is this very sassy person that and even then, whenever Luke was on the Falcon and R2 wakes up or whatever, he's like, whoa, hey, watch it with the language or whatever. And I'm just imagining R2's just
that's R2.
Exactly. So I was kind of disappointed that wasn't. And I mean, like I said, I get it, but I just, if you're going to pander to somebody, pander to me by giving me more robots.
No, they're going to pander to kids that are going to buy BB-8 toys.
That's true. They can't shrew R2 because they're not going to sell R2 toys. Was there any ever R2 toys? Or just little action figures?
Yeah,
I don't
there
remember.
were R2 toys.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Little motorized little R2 running around.
I don't remember that. I just know the BB-8 has the little thing. Which is cool.
There were plenty of R2 toys.
Oh, okay. All right, well, good. I'm glad R2 had
R2 Legos, I had 8 of those.
Well, okay, yes, the Legos. Well, but Legos capitalizes on everything.
Sure.
Literally everything.
Sure.
Which I'm surprised that they can get the rights to everything, but yeah, everything. Okay, so did you I didn't really catch this the first time because I didn't hear clearly what Snoke said, but Snoke made that bridge for them.
Right, he binded the Force into a single line for Rey and Kylo to talk to each other.
And this is why I hate his death scene. So it's it's really ridiculous how you have, again, this guy sits in a Game of Thrones style chair, has the red guards, like whatever, 8 red guards behind him, this big menacing, curtain behind him, this red curtain behind him, and it's just this huge, it's a ginormous ship. He's a big baddie. Honestly, I feel like he was supposed to be worse than Palpatine. I feel like he was supposed to be worse than Darth Vader. He was just this, and again, I hate that I don't know the lore / the background information of Snoke. I'm sure if we took like 30 seconds to look it up, we'd be able to know what he is. But
no, we wouldn't.
Oh, really?
We're gonna find out in books. I guarantee it. There's gonna be a book that we'll say, Snoke in high school or whatever. And that's again, The Force Awakens brought up this question: who is Snoke? Where'd he come from? How'd he get those scars? There was a lot of speculation on who Snoke is gonna be. Nope, fuck it. Let's kill him.
He's dead.
Let's kill him.
So, and the way he died, and okay, I'm not as mad as just him dying, but the way he died was really stupid because he brought Rey and Kylo together. Mm-hmm. He did that. He's able to manipulate Kylo both emotionally and through the Force. He knows everything that's going on in his mind, and he even says he knows everything that goes on in his mind. And from the movies, I guess you get that interpretation that he knows everything that Kylo's going to do and say. He even whenever he and he proves
as it's happening, he's like, and he's twisting the lightsaber, and then he'll unleash it, you don't understand that he's rotating the lightsaber next to you, and he's about to stab you in the stomach.
Exactly.
That didn't cross your mind, Snoke?
If you can read Rey's mind, this probably more resilient than Kylo. If you can read her mind and you can get all this information and you can control her and manipulate her, but you can't take the extra 2% processing power to register the lightsabers about to stab you. Yeah, and I don't know if they did this on purpose, where he's doing this big monologue of I'm the best, you can never defeat me, and then it's this ironic thing
guess we can.
Yeah, exactly.
I
thought it was just really dumb that it was definitely a throwaway villain who could have been cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know what he could have done.
Kylo is the big baddie, and I get it, but Kylo could have been the big baddie in a couple of other ways besides killing Snoke.
For sure.
Killing Snoke that way, at least. I would have been cool to see a Kylo and Rey fight versus Snoke. Yeah, I thought that would have been great. Yeah, in the Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting Count Dooku.
Yep.
That would have been awesome. And then as they're fighting Snoke, they have to fight the Red Guards. That would have been great.
You see, I was half expecting, because Snoke is this cripply old man like Yoda, so I was half expecting to see him jump around and, I'm way more agile and I can lightsabers, blah, 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 blah.
But we didn't even see him have a lightsaber.
Oh, he didn't, did he?
No, we never saw it.
Yeah, he just stole Kylo's.
No, he stole Rey's. That was it. We didn't even see him have a lightsaber. Yeah, who is this dude? Again, Force Awakens asks the question, who is Snoke? Where is he from? What's his backstory? And it doesn't matter now because fucking Snoke's gone. We are never going to have those questions answered unless he's going to come back as a ghost like Yoda and all that.
I thought only good Jedis come back as ghosts.
Sure.
That's what I thought it was. It's because
it could be.
Because whenever Anakin died, or whenever Darth Vader died, and then they're back on the place with the Ewoks and
Endor.
Endor. Sorry, my bad. Gosh, I'm not 100% on memory here. He doesn't come back as Darth Vader. He comes back as the young Anakin who's good and happy.
Well, that's in the remastered version that George Lucas wanted to put out. In the original version, it's the actual actor that plays Darth Vader.
Oh, really?
In the suit, yeah.
Oh,
it's an older gentleman that's sitting next to Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Uh-huh.
Of course, he's not going to be in the Darth Vader suit.
Sure.
But no, we don't. Who knows now? I'm saying, the mythology has been busted completely open in good ways and in bad ways. Who knows? There are so many Force abilities that are introduced in this movie that I love. I thought they were great. The talking to each other, Rey and Kylo, I thought that was a great cool Force addition.
That was cool.
The Luke being able to physically be. So did you catch this when Luke and Kylo were fighting? Kylo's feet, when he turns them, makes the red in the sand. Yeah. And they showed Luke's feet and it didn't.
Yeah,
that should have been a big hint. I thought that was awesome. I loved the whole Luke and Kylo fight at the end.
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah,
and I love all these new Force abilities that are coming together. I think that's really cool.
The only thing I had an issue with and again, Luke is an old man. I just feel like, because even then, when Yoda was fighting Count Dooku, Yoda is this old thing, but he's fucking jumping around and like slashing. I feel like Luke should still be able to do that. Sure, he had like some cool like Matrix moves or whatever, and did these dodges and stuff like that. But like, I feel like Luke should have just been like, ba 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 ba, and then like at least maybe like
bought him more time, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess, or like go for the leg or something. You don't obviously don't have to kill him because you're conflicting because you don't want to kill your nephew or whatever. But I just feel like
I don't know. We haven't seen in this new trilogy currently. We haven't seen an like a incredibly acrobatic lightsaber duel yet.
That's true.
Like so in the originals, it was very limited. George Lucas wanted to have more passion in his lightsaber fights than stunt work, and then we had the prequels where it was almost over the top. Like the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan is masterful. Like those two are Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor rehearsed for a month to nail down that fight scene, and it shows. Like it's beautifully done.
I guess that's just what I'm missing.
But in this movie, we don't have any fast kicking lightsaber duels. Like even when Rey and Kylo were fighting the Snoke's guards, none of them were exactly mowing the other down. It was gritty. Those two didn't really know how to harness their fight.
That's what it was. Is because what did Rey have? Her training was a rock. She was like
she didn't know anything.
To a rock. Yeah. So and then also that other thing when she slashed the rock and then hit the cart of the person.
That was funny.
I thought that was unnecessary humor. I mean,
sure,
but whatever. That's aside.
Sure,
God, I hate humor. I hate funny.
No, but Kylo, a guy that was about to finish his training, which Snoke said before he killed Rey.
How much training has Kylo had?
It doesn't seem like a lot, right? Like whenever Darth Maul. So when Darth Maul fights, you know that dude has been trained. Yes. Darth Sidious, Count Dooku, all of them were incredibly agile and acrobatic with their fighting styles. Mm-hmm. And then we have Kylo, who's getting bested by some guards. Like, you're one step away from completing your training to be a master Sith Lord, and you can't take on some guards.
I feel, and I don't know if I didn't catch it in the first one, but like I don't remember how definitive. Yes, he's one step away, but like, was he good? Was it a struggle for him to train? Like, did he just
we don't know.
barely get the check boxes?
At the end of Force Awakens, Hux is going out to the hologram of Snoke, and he says, "My leader, we're about to be overrun." And Snoke says, "Bring Kylo Ren back to me to finish his training." That's all we know. Then once we flash forward to The Last Jedi, where he's about to kill Rey in front of Snoke, Snoke was saying, "Now you need to complete your training, strike her down." Like, sorry, Kylo, it doesn't look like you've completed your training in terms of fencing. Your fencing and lightsaber abilities.
I don't know. It's upsetting because I guess I'm just so used to Sith Lords and Jedis being so I get the Jedi's not having that because it's Rey, but I'm just so used to Sith Lords being super badass and like but it's
an expectation that we've had that where Sith Lords harness a darker Force energy that they utilize whenever they're fighting.
Yeah,
and we don't get that. We get Kylo, who it struggles with some guards and is almost taken out if it weren't for Rey throwing a lightsaber towards him.
Yeah. I agree.
And we got that in The Force Awakens. I understand why in The Force Awakens the ending fight scene between Kylo and Rey was not, choreographed amazingly like in the prequels, like the prequel fight scenes were.
Sure.
You had Rey who just figured out what a lightsaber was.
Yep.
Kylo who's not done with his training. I get it. That's not going to be a beautiful, sight to see those two fighting. It's going to be a little bit awkward. I get that. Mm-hmm. But right now, Kylo, they didn't utilize him as a dark force at all.
For sure. So moving forward a little bit, or backwards, I forget where we are in the movie, but I know this is your most hated thing about the movie. Go ahead.
My gosh. Rose and Finn's storyline was completely useless. Like, the only reason they put Rose and Finn's storyline in is to make some bullshit animal cruelty claim and to show that rich people are bad. Like, that was honestly the only reason. I was talking to my buddy about this. It would have been a lot better if it was Rose that was the master hacker, and Finn had to get Rose onto the ship, and Rose needed to figure that out. Mm-hmm. And while they were trying to escape, that's when Phasma comes up and and stops them.
Real quick, I am so disappointed with
Phasma. She was hyped up so much. In the first one, not a lot happened with her.
She literally got captured, and she's like, "You're gonna regret this" or something like that.
And that was it. And they threw her in the trash compactor. Yeah, that was it.
And then with this one, again, she shoots her gun for like 30 seconds and then falls into the fire.
And then Finn says a cheesy ass line
that was so stupid.
Oh my
Bring
God.
It on, Chrome Dome.
And that too. And then when she's like, "You're all scum," and he goes, "Rebel scum," and then kills her. Like, dude, just
this makes me sad. Like, because wasn't she supposed to be like the equivalent of like Boba Fett or something?
Yes, she was supposed to be the new Boba Fett, and she died in a more disappointing way than Boba Fett did.
True, I agree.
Like, Boba Fett in Return of the Jedi was a missed opportunity, and so was Phasma. Like, Phasma should have been this badass. Like, Jango Fett, I thought would have been a great substitute Jango for Phasma, where Jango is the assassin that takes out all of these rebel leaders, and Finn has to go find. Finn knows who this person is, and Finn goes off on his own journey to confront Phasma while she's assassinating everybody. That would have been cool. But no, we get Phasma, and by the way, so Phasma's armor, when Rose was shooting at her, can deflect bullets. Yeah. And then Finn hits her with a stun bat.
Electric bolt
bat.
I think
and her armor.
The only reason why that happened, Blake, is to tell the audience that she's white.
We knew who she was.
What are you talking about?
The actress. She's Brianna Tarth from Game of Thrones. We all knew that. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, no. She's on Kimmel. She's on talk shows with
I'm sorry
with
that
the cast.
I don't watch anything about Star Wars because Mark Hamill told me not to watch anything about Star Wars.
No, like, even in the casting, IMDb, she is Brianna Tarth from Game of Thrones.
I still think the only reason why was to tell the audience that she was white.
I don't know why that would have mattered.
I don't know why it would matter either, because, why just have her eyeball stare at her and then, I guess maybe
to make it look like she's a person, an evil person, and Finn doesn't care. Let's do this.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Maybe. Back to my original complaint.
Yeah, sorry, continue.
Okay, Rose and Finn storyline. Why? I even wrote it in my notes. Hold on. What did I say? Finn and Rose's storyline, ... Why? Just fucking why? It was 20 minutes of stoppage that brought the whole movie to a dead halt for me. It was so boring. It was useless. Benicio del Toro, he was just a stuttering, mumbling thief. He wasn't even the original hacker, so the whole point of going down there was useless.
Wait, no, I thought he was the hacker.
No, the guy at the casino with the red badge on his chest was.
Well, no, but I'm... Okay,
remember, Maz Kanata
I know. But I thought it was he lost that pin to the guy. I thought that's what the thing was.
When was that said? When was that shown?
No, I thought that's what I interpreted it as. Is he got locked up? He probably had this gambling problem, bet this pin and then he got caught cheating or something, and so this guy took it from him. That's what I thought.
Okay, well, fine. All right, fine.
Well, no, but that makes more sense because
fine. That makes sense. If that's okay,
no. But you're saying makes more sense because if that was the original guy, then because the glasses lady was like, I trust him with my life or whatever. So that makes more sense because if that guy was a more stand-up guy than this random-ass hacker, okay, I like that. I like your interpretation better. That's better. All right, continue.
It didn't make sense. The only reason they threw that in was to shoehorn an animal cruelty message and rich people are bad.
Did you like the world though? I thought the casino was cool.
I thought it
was an interesting world.
Yeah, you saw new characters. You saw fine. The place was cool.
Okay,
the place was cool,
but executed poorly.
Oh, I was telling you all this. Star Wars is something that's supposed to bring, everybody together, no matter what you think, no matter what your views are. It's a place where everybody can come and have fun and watch something that we've cared about as a kid. It was separate from any political BS. It was separate from all of that stuff. And it's insulting to have something like that in a movie. And it's not like I'm excuse me. It's not like I'm for animal cruelty at all. But there's a time and a place for a movie to shoehorn a political message in it. Star Wars is not that place. Star Wars is not that medium to do that in. And I think they've tainted what Star Wars symbolizes, which is something that all of us can go to and have fun together with. And it just was so campy and unnecessary. Like, what did that have to do with the plot at all? What did the animals have to do with...
you.
Go ahead. The fact that they used them to escape.
I'm glad we could tear that town up.
Oh my God.
Make them hurt.
See? Why? Why is that line in the movie?
Because them needs to hurt.
Yeah, I guess they do. Because they're mean and vicious and they're selling, stuff to the Empire and the rebellion. Like you just counteracted your whole point, and these people are bad. Oh, but they're also selling stuff to the rebellion too. So it just made no sense, and it frustrates me to no end that Disney feels like they had to just shoehorn that into the script.
You think that was a very much
that
Disney
sounds
thing?
Like a very much Disney thing to do.
I don't know. I mean, I think the scene to find the master hacker there. So going to the world, I think was inevitable, but I can agree that those lines, whenever she was like, after she released the animals,
now they're free,
or now it was worth it, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think I can understand Disney interfering there.
Why couldn't they have just gone there and gotten the hacker with the First Order on their tail? They're trying to get out. The first,
it wasn't the First Order,
right? So, right, but remember we were saying how it would have been better if the First Order was there. Why couldn't they have just gone there, looked for this hacker, Benicio del Toro's character, and that would have been the end of it? And they found their own way to get out, using BB-8s or using blah 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 to get out. And it kind of reminds me of when in The Force Awakens, or
he was from The Usual Suspects.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I'm sorry to interrupt. I apologize. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I know that guy's name. Yeah. Who is he from? He's from The Usual Suspects. Okay. All right, continue.
Why couldn't they have...
I totally derailed you. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I guess my main point is you can tell where Disney vomited on this movie and just kind of threw in their little piece of, here's what you should put in this. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And that was obviously one of them. The porgs, the fucking animal rights, and the rich people are bad.
So is this to the equivalent of like Star Wars Battlefront EA? Is this Star Wars The Last Jedi Disney?
Yeah.
You think so?
Like I don't look at this. It's hard for me to look at this movie as a Star Wars movie. I look at it as a Disney film.
So is this,
and that's frustrating. That is heartbreaking.
Yeah. Because
Star Wars used to be its own entity, and now Disney has to put their mark on it. Yeah. Star Wars is supposed to be separate from that.
Well, but I mean, the first one I don't think had it didn't seem Disney-y to me, at least.
Not really, and I think it's because they had a director like J.J. Abrams.
True.
They had somebody back. They were backing somebody that was a Star Wars fan to the bone, that wanted to create this universe, and then in pops a new director, and Disney's like, okay, well, the first movie that people were complaining that it's too much like the originals, so let's completely change this up and make it completely unlike any of the movies that we've ever seen before, and it has a cost. Star Wars movies have a formula, and
for sure,
for better or worse. Star Wars movies follow a timeline, follow a formula. There are certain factors that are in every single Star Wars movie, but they wanted to do something completely different, blow the whole door wide open to new possibilities, and it comes with a cost. For sure. And that cost is my $1.
Well, I mean,
it's frustrating.
Are you going to see the third one though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course I am.
So then it hasn't cost you $1.
Like when I was telling you, I'll probably see this with my girlfriend. I don't think I'm going to see this movie again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I asked you in the car and you said you'd probably see it again.
Yeah, and I just told you. I remember when I said I'd see it with my girlfriend, and now I don't think I will.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry to agitate you to the point of not wanting to see it
No,
again.
It's not your fault.
No, I know. No, I know. Okay, so I feel like for the most part, did you have any other notes or comments?
Yeah, I did. Hold on.
We can go through those. Most of mine.
I guess mine are just questions that were brought up. that were brought up in The Force Awakens that we never got to got answers for.
Go for 'em.
So Snoke's backstory,
Sure.
why he's there, that's one. Rey's parents, that's a big one.
Well, but she goes down the rabbit hole
and finds what?
I
even wrote that down. What does she find?
That her parents are herself.
No.
That she's her own parent. That's what I got from it. She's like, mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me who my parents are. And then it showed a picture of herself.
So I put, what was the point of the cave sequence? She even said after it, I found nothing. Well, I think that was the point, because originally when Luke was like, you went to the darkness and you didn't even stop yourself or whatever, and he was like, the kind of like reinforcing the idea that the Jedi should not be a thing, because obviously they're going to get corrupted just like Kylo Ren was. But anyways, she goes down the rabbit hole and then she finds nothing, and maybe that was her awakening point. Where I think they just wanted to have another cave scene like in The Empire Strikes Back.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was thinking of it like Rey maybe reaches a point in her life that she doesn't need what's inside the rabbit hole, so she's not lost anymore. So that. Well,
at least show us what's in the rabbit hole, not just her fucking snapping in the Hall of Mirrors and waving
that was
her friend.
Cool. That all legitimacy of what the whole point of that was aside, I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay.
That was it. I like those kind of things where it's it's this
optical illusion-y,
sort of type thing.
Okay.
So, all right. So what else? So
so in The Force Awakens, we were mentioned about the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
Kylo's little.
Those were
army.
the red people.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were.
They were. They weren't Snoke's bodyguards.
Well, no, they were trying Snoke's bodyguards.
Why? How?
Because if Kylo took the people out of the whatever and
the temple,
yeah, and then if Snoke had manipulated Kylo, then I'm sure those guys are the. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I don't think so. Because remember how in the Return of the Jedi, the Emperor had his own red bodyguards?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
What happened to the Knights of Ren? We don't know.
Yeah.
It's not even mentioned.
Yeah. No, you're right.
We have no idea.
You're right.
Why wasn't the plan by what's her name told to the rest of the rebels? Like, what would have been the bad part of telling them the plan? Like, hey, at some point, everyone's going to get off, and you guys go. But I'm going to stick around and pilot this ship.
I think she was waiting for
Poe to take control and almost derail the whole fucking plan?
I think she was just waiting for a different opportunity. Because if she told everyone on the crew saying, hey, we're going to just... Because multiple times throughout I mean, Rose said it a few times, and Poe said it a couple times. I'm assuming that's the kind of the consensus of the crew is that they don't like deserters. So the deserters fleeing, trying to run away. But
Leia explains to Poe when they're on the ship, we're not deserting. She's staying behind to destroy the battleships.
Right.
It wouldn't have been desertion.
Well, but Leia was still unconscious at this point, and I think that's what was kind of up in the air. And because she might not have had the ability to explain that. Where if she says, okay, we're gonna at one point you guys are gonna leave and I'll stay behind, and then everyone's gonna go, what, why? But then Leia is like, oh, I'm here. I'll explain it to you. That makes sense. Blah blah blah. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
I get your confusion there, or not your confusion, but I get your question there. I don't think that was as pressing as a question for me.
Okay, that's fine.
Because it makes sense. Or at least to me, it makes sense.
Let's see. The battering ram cannon that they used at the end.
Another toy of the
that
First
just
Order.
seems so convenient. Like
For
we're
sure.
finally at this base, and oh crap! Now they have a giant battering ram, like in Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
I think it was just the rebels would never be able to escape the First Order and their crazy armada.
I don't know. It seemed like they wanted to have another Hoth sequence, like another Hoth homage.
True. I just think because I don't know. It's again. It's this. The First Order has this infinite pockets of money, and they can just pull out. Oh, and I don't know how well that is used, or I'm sorry, like how good of an idea that is, because it's like, oh, they're at this impenetrable wall.
Don't worry, we got something for that.
No, exactly. They always have something.
It's like an infomercial.
It's like an app for that.
Yeah,
except they have a gun for that.
Yes. but I get. That's the whole.
I just don't know how they got all those AT-ATs. There was like what 8 of them or something.
There was like 9 or 10 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, yeah, we've got that. We'll just real quick. We're following.
Yeah,
these guys
that's the same thing in Empire. How did they get all those ATTs down there?
Well, but that was a planned assault, right?
Right.
But before with this one, this was like
all of their
literally,
ships got destroyed.
Exactly, and Kylo was like struggling, and even Commander Hux was like Husk.
I said Husk. It's Hux.
Is it
yeah, it's
Hux.
Hux. Yeah, you got it.
HUX. Sure. Okay. So Hux is like totally not wanting to chase after these guys because the rebels, at least to him, the rebels are not there anymore.
And Snoke's gone.
Exactly. So there's no reason to chase after them. So I don't know how after with however many 1.5 ships they have left where they get these AT-ATs. Unless they just call like an AT-AT Uber and say, hey, I need 10. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'll be here in 20 minutes. So,
why did Rose save Finn?
Because Rose is in love with him.
I was so the first time I watched this, I was emotionally invested, and damn, that is dark. Finn is about to sacrifice his life so that this ends. That is awesome. That's bold. Finn is a major character, but Rose just had to do it. Like I think yes, and her lines are so cheesy, and the kiss was so awkward. And another thing, how did Rose and Finn get back to the hangar, get back to the wall when you have like 10 ATTs ready to go down?
The same idea, I think it was that same principle of they were only focused on the big target. The First Order is always only focused on the big ship, not they had to have that fake hacker tell them of the smaller things. So.
But Kylo and Luke started facing off. It showed that, and then it showed Finn and Rose getting back into the hangar.
Okay, hold on, I'm confused on that. Was it really so? Luke shows up. He's like, outside. Leia, I'm gonna kill him, and then
they try to blast him, and then Kylo goes down, and you have like a samurai versus samurai off, and they just start talking. And then it cuts away, and then you see Rose getting dragged by Finn into the hangar.
I need a med kit.
It's like, why does Rose need to be alive? Like, I would have been great if Rose sacrificed herself. Well, I would have actually liked that character
because no one except Finn knows that flying a ship into the.
He said it on the comms. He said it like the only way to do it is right down the throat.
Right, but if Rose was because Rose would have never done that though. None of them. Finn's the only because he was part of the First Order. He knows that's how you kill it. So,
right, but if he said it to everybody, then it wouldn't have been ridiculous if Rose turned her ship around and said, "No, Finn, I got this," and then Finn was like, "No, Rose, don't do it." But Rose just glides in.
Why would Rose sacrifice herself?
Because she loves Finn, and that would have been I would have loved Rose if she did that.
Rose is gonna kill herself so that Finn doesn't kill herself.
That would have been great if she's flying through and she grabs that half a moon right before she does it. That would have made me emotionally That would have remade me emotionally invested in Rose. Like, damn,
I don't think she's the type of character to make that sacrifice.
Yeah, because she sucks. Rose sucks.
I think she's young and naive and she's scared. I think that's just her character, and so she was afraid and she didn't want.
She's not scared enough to put herself into the middle of the cannon just to save Finn and die in the process.
Yeah, possibly die. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just.
Yeah, no, I agree. And
that pissed me off. Even the first time I watched it, when I'm all invested in Star Wars, I was thinking this movie's awesome. This movie's great. This is like a number 3 Star Wars film for me. Mm-hmm. And then Rose does that shit, and it ruined it for me. Like I was emotionally ready for Finn to go. Like, damn,
I thought
that would have been great.
Dying.
Yes,
that's his death scene.
And then no. Fucking Rose.
Yep.
It just Rose in her character. Let's talk about pros, shall we? Because we've been very negative.
Talked about pros.
We've been very negative.
We've talked about pros.
Okay. How about the cinematography? I thought this was a beautifully shot film. I thought the color scheme was great. The red, black, and white was beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's see. Kylo and Rey's when they're fighting the guards, though, it
that was pretty.
I thought that was
even
great.
If it was supposed to be amateurs fighting, I definitely agree.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Honestly, I think probably one of the best highlights was that bridge, that connection between them.
I thought that was a great moment.
It was Rey realizing that she's not talking to a monster and that he's conflicted, genuinely conflicted, and you see this, her spirit and her character try to save this person, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. Let's see, Luke and Kylo's fight. I thought that was phenomenal. It was beautiful. It reminded me of like an old samurai film.
Yeah.
Where they were, facing off one-on-one. That was beautiful. I'm trying to think of any more. John Williams' score, once again, awesome.
It was a John Williams score? Okay.
Yeah, it's Star Wars.
Well, and I mean, I get it because you remember Star Wars, but like every time when they and I get it, and it was cool and it was nice, but thinking about it, I'm just like, maybe do it a different way. But when Snoke was like, "You could have been a Darth Vader," and then they play like the Darth Vader thing in the back. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and then I get it if it's John Williams and that's his music, and obviously he's going to use his music inside his music. So, yeah, I do agree. Okay, I changed my mind. That was good. That was cool.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I again love Puppet Yoda. Like I thought Yoda was really funny and awesome.
Yep.
Let's see. That's pretty much all I have. And I talked a lot of shit about this movie. I like this movie. Like I like this movie as
I mean these are critiques and what will happen in the next movie.
Which I don't know. Like again, this movie has blown open the door of mythology and whatnot, like brand new Force abilities, and now the idea that the Force is open to any character, like it makes you not know what the hell is going to happen.
My official prediction is it's going to jump like 10 years in the future.
Please don't do that.
It's going to jump 10 years because it's about I think there was a reason why it ended with the kids. There's a reason why it ended with him staring out into the stars and have his little ring, and it showed that he had the Force. These kids are going to rally up, or it'll be like maybe like the first 30 minutes will be them. I think because Rey's going to be trying to train. She's going to learn how to use the Force, and she's going to train herself and stuff like that. And
she has like Jedi techs now.
That is also true. Do kind of like a Return of the Jedi, where Luke goes back to Dagobah with Yoda and trains and becomes this super awesome thing and lifts the X-wing and blah blah blah. So she's gonna do that, and then she's gonna recruit these people and because she doesn't care that the Jedi Order needs to go away for the Force to have balance.
No,
she doesn't recognize that.
She's a Jedi,
right? So yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen, and then they're gonna bring the kids in, and it'll be like 7 years later or something, and then the kids will be young adults.
I would hate that.
That's what I think because how
they have to explain Leia dying, and that would be an easy way to
for sure.
Like, ever since Leia died, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I think I don't know because where they put themselves with the size of the rebellion, fitting all
they kind of fuck themselves.
Exactly. So, and I will be. Not saying I'll hate it, but I'll be very disappointed if it's just like, oh, we have now 4 times the size of our rebellion because
that would be lazy fucking writing.
Remember that emergency message we said, and then no one was responding to it. Well,
they actually did respond, but they didn't get through because the Empire or the First Order was blocking their transmission.
Yeah, like just like okay, I think if they can again, I don't know because I'm not a great writer, but if they can figure out a way to expand that. Or have like, it'd be cool if they in the third one they go to each planet in different systems and they're rallying and they're recruiting and you see the numbers and even some have conflict and then the planets will have the First Order in it and then they have to like spread this message with
espionage their way through. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that would be cool, but I would not be surprised if they're just like 7 years later and then you see a bunch of young Jedis with lightsabers, and they're just like, "All right, we're ready to fight the First Order." And then Kylo Ren also has his little Sith babies and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that will happen for sure, but I would not be surprised.
Yeah,
because I mean, it's like how are you going to go from less than 20 people on your Millennium Falcon to enough to destroy the First Order? Because the First Order has to be ended, and the end of the movie.
At some point the First Order will be destroyed.
Exactly. Whether
that will be with Kylo or not, we don't know. My only prediction is that Rey will get like a double lightsaber.
Oh, you think so? Oh, because
I think that would be awesome. I think that would be fucking awesome if Rey constructs a new lightsaber with, kyber crystals or whatever and has a double lightsaber. That's my only prediction, and that Leia's gonna die. That's it.
Yeah. But okay, and I said this before we started. I think my before Carrie Fisher passed, I think that was the goal. Was Han Solo died in the first one, Luke passes in the second one, Princess Leia is gonna die in the third one. Mm-hmm. And then whatever other trilogy that they do, it'll just be these new characters and say, okay, we've given you the nostalgia of the old Star Wars. Now it's gone. Now let's do new Star Wars.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I thought the scene where Luke died was beautiful. Like when he's looking up at the two suns and you have the old John Williams score playing.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. That was a good moment for me.
I don't know. I'm conflicted on how they handled that. I don't necessarily want to go super into it, but I don't know. I think it could have been done better. I'm not saying it was bad. I think it is, but just him disappearing, and I don't know. I've never seen a Jedi just disappear because he was exhausted.
Well, maybe he gave himself up to the Force.
Oh, that's true.
That was one thing I was thinking about. Like,
he just finally became one.
Was the Force ability way too strong for him, or is that why this killed him, or did he give himself up to the Force? I'm going with that one. Like, he gave himself up to the Force.
Yeah, I'll go with that one. I can agree with that. But any other last minute predictions you think?
I don't know, because the whole mythology has been busted open, and there are so many different ideas that could come about.
Do you think Kylo's going to turn back? I know because
I want Kylo to die a bad guy.
You want him to die a bad guy?
Yeah, I don't want to see another Darth Vader thing. I want Kylo to cause huge, massive damage on a galactic scale.
That's another thing. If they do a time lapse, they can. Hey, sorry, Kylo was kind of a punk in the first two,
but now
he's super bad.
Yeah,
he has his new and improved mask, and no one's going to tell him to take it off because it looks stupid, and then he'll just legitimately be a bad guy.
Yeah, I don't want any turning anymore. At least for this trilogy.
Okay.
Like I want Kylo to die a bad guy between a fight with Rey.
Okay.
Like I feel like that's almost the only way it can, because if he does turn into a good guy, it's been done before and they're going to get a lot of shit for it, and I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah. I mean, unless this is just literally a copy paste reskin of the original trilogy. So
I guess like my whole attitude about this movie is I get it, but why? Like if I were to sum up this movie in a sentence, it'd be I get it, but why?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Like I feel like The Force Awakens got a lot of criticism for being too much like the original, and so they tried to completely make something completely different, and it did not land in a lot of different ways. Some ways it did, but in a lot of ways for me it did not. And so that's why this movie goes down to like number 5.
I think they're going to do their solo, the single movies, I think are going to be what keeps Star Wars alive.
Yeah, so
after the
Han Solo,
if they
origin story.
do another like a Rogue One, not specifically like Rogue 2, not like that or whatever, but those kind of single take a old Star Wars book, just a single shoot off Star Wars, rekindle it to have the whatever fit in canon, and then make a movie out of it. A1, I think that'd be.
I want to see. So we already know that an Obi-Wan Kenobi solo movie is coming in, is
really?
in production. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I hope to God Ewan McGregor is still Obi-Wan.
But isn't he like 50 million years old?
Well, Obi-Wan's it's going to be the time between Episode 3 and Episode 4. It's going to be his time on Tatooine, which is going to be awesome. I think that's going to be great. I want Ewan McGregor.
I do want Ewan McGregor.
I want Ewan McGregor to be Obi-Wan. Right.
He was a good Obi-Wan.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I also want them, after this trilogy, if they do another trilogy, I want it to be Old Republic. I think if they do an Old Republic trilogy, that would be awesome, because you don't have anything to go off of. All you have is brand new characters that most Star Wars fans have never seen unless you've played the old video games or read any of the books. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a completely blank slate where you have to build from ground up. True. And I think that's what they should do. They shouldn't rely on all these other characters or whatnot to go off of. I think you should have the Old Republic as a trilogy. I think that would be awesome.
That would be pretty cool. But on that note, that is the end. We are closing the door on Star Wars. We've almost gotten to an hour and a half of just bitch talking. So appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to it. If you have any conflicting ideas, comments, please let us know. Comment on the video or send me an email or do something. I don't know. Let's do some more audience participation and get people engaged. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And again, Blake, thank you so much for.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, you paid for food and beer, so that was way too much. That was too generous of you. So, quit being a nice guy.
Yes, sir.
God, Blake, just jeez. All right. Anyways, that is the end of the One More Podcast. I appreciate you guys if you made it out this far, and take it easy, guys. Peace. All right, and welcome to the end part of the show. If you stuck around till the end, props to you. I appreciate you. I love you. Now, I get to talk your ear off about Haven Cottage Investments. All right, these people. Okay. Ooh, do I have something to say about these people? They are smart. They are intuitive. They are intelligent. Smart and intelligent, pretty much the same thing, but that is okay. All right. These people know everything there needs to know about investments in property, in renting, in leasing, in leasing, whatever that means. Anything about property for apartments or homes or just your place to stay. They are the financial advisors, okay? Give them a call, give them an email. You know, they're not going to bite. They're just going to talk to you. They're going to ask you some questions, all right? Sabrina Parker, she is a great Texas real estate agent lady person, all right? She is the one to contact, okay? Give her a call, give her an email, all right? You mentioned the podcast, you get half off your commission rate, okay? That is a great deal, all right? You don't want to let this slip through your fingers, okay? If you're just thinking about moving, if you're just thinking about renting, just give her a call, give her an email, all right? Learn some information, all right? Learn yourself, be better, be a better person, be more wise, be better situated for investing, okay? This is your future, and this is important. So why not start off with a great person to talk to / email / whatever communication form you want to email. Whatever. I don't know. All right. Yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys have a fantastic night, day, or whenever you're listening.